Welcome back to Ozarks Tonight. With Earth Day coming up, we continue our conversation surrounding the environment. Coming up next week, there will be 2 presentations at the library about water quality in the Ozarks. So we thought we would give you a sneak peek and get the conversation started here on Ozarks Tonight. Todd Parnell will be leading one of those discussions and be part of a panel on the second one. And he's here with us now to talk about those 2 workshops and to talk about water quality here in the Ozarks. Right. Todd, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
So your first presentation will be on Tuesday, that's April 23rd at 7 at the Library Center, and you are going to be talking about your personal experience at the Buffalo River and with water quality. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get started with this topic?
Well, I grew up on a creek, Roark Creek in Branson, Missouri, so I was exposed to it from very early in my life. I was raised floating the rivers and fishing in the rivers, and so I had a lot of exposure to it and really came to appreciate and value the quality of life that it brought to everybody in the Ozarks.
You have a lot of professional experience here in Springfield and the area too. Former president of Drury University, yep. A banker. You founded the bank here in Springfield, yes. Among other things, and now you're an author. You're also writing about this.
Yes.
What did you decide I have to write about this? One of the interesting things you told me is that as a banker, you started noticing that part of how economic development was also impacting water quality.
Absolutely. I think one of the most amazing things about the Ozarks is how blessed we are with water and how dependent we are on it for economic development. If we have lousy water, people aren't going to visit the Ozarks, and tourism is a huge part of our economy. It's very important from an economic development perspective, and to me as a banker, when I was a banker, and to me as president of Drury, that we clean up our water, we make it attractive, we make it usable and available to anybody here and that wants to come visit.
What would you say is the biggest threat to our water here in the Ozarks today? A
mindset of deregulation. In the state, I was the chairman of the Missouri Clean Water Commission for several years. And going back to 2013, the regulations begin to loosen as far as corporate agriculture is concerned. And it really hasn't gotten to the Ozarks as much as it has the other parts of the state. But there is this sense that having confined animal feeding operations and putting them wherever one wants to is good for the economy, and I don't buy that, and I never did when I was on the Clean Water Commission before I was relieved of my duties. It's more important to me that we protect our resources, our small communities from people that don't want that encroachment. I'm not condemning those operations in total. It's just where they are and the impact they have on our citizens and upon fragile water tables and waterways.
Is that essentially what you talk about in your book, Pig Farm?
Oh, in a subtle sort of way. I was angry when I wrote the book because of what they did on the Buffalo River with putting 6,500 pigs within 6 miles of America's first national river, which is a travesty to me. And so I wrote a fictional account of how that might have come to happen over a couple of hundred years. And basically tried to make it interesting, exciting, have a little historical grounding.
Do you think this idea of your opinion on this and what you're writing about deregulation and what we should and should not be doing with our land and how it impacts water, is that an unpopular opinion in this area? And are there people who are upset about, you know, what you talked about, we cannot be putting animals or farms, certain farms, wherever we want?
No, I think there's a strong group of people that understand the cost that's paid for that. And there are a lot of people in Arkansas that have stood up and opposed this pig CAFO. And in fact, its operating license has not been renewed because it is having an impact on the river. Their message is getting across. It's ended up in the courts where I hope it will be adjudicated fairly and get shut down. But one of my favorite stories is about 3 grandmothers that sued the owners of the pig CAFO because they said it's going to foul our lives, our way of living, and our water. And it was very brave of them to do that. The Buffalo River Watershed Alliance is an activist group that's leading the charge in Northwest Arkansas to try to get this thing shut down. half of the proceeds of my book sales on Tuesday will go to them. And so I really want to make a statement that this is an important topic to many people, not just me.
Yeah, and you are talking about this issue on a much larger scale.
Yes.
When it comes to us individually, what are some things we can do at home to help save our water here in the Ozarks? That's And learning a little bit about it is a good way to start.
Yes.
So your presentation on Tuesday, again, April 23rd at 7 at the Library Center. You have another panel coming up then on Thursday, April 25th at 7 as well at the Library Center. It's titled Living Ozarks, Our History and Legacy to Future Generations.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you will be talking about on that panel Thursday?
Yeah, I think it's more important about the Living Ozarks concept, which was MSU underwrote last year to have an anthology published of from different writers, mostly academic people that really know what they're talking about, unlike me, who is caring and showing my opinions. But it looks at all aspects of the ecology in the Ozarks and some of the history of it and what the threats are to it. So we're going to be talking about that.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for being here and sharing all that with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. And if you're interested in learning more from Todd at the presentation and the panel, we will have information on that on our website. That's ozarksfirst.com. We'll be right back.